I know what you did last summer. I'm just joking. I don't know why I said that. Did you know it's only a few months until Halloween? Hey everyone, my name is Don. I'm one of the co-hosts here at the Two Texas Teas podcast. And we just want to thank all of our fans and the people who have supported us along the way. It's been a very interesting 1 year. Lawson and I are on our summer break. So if you've seen some of the content dip and you've been wondering where those fresh new episodes are, they're coming soon. But today we have a very special guest that we pre-recorded an interview with some individuals to have a great insight into what it means to be in Central Texas, but also what it means to be Texan and what Texas looks like to the other states and the rest of the world. If you're interested in being a guest, you can visit guests.texasteas.com, somewhere around here. Or, it's the big or if, I don't know how you feel. If you want to reach an audience of millions of individuals, then do I have a podcast that you can advertise on? You can go to ads.2texasteas.com. Check out our ad packages. Let us know what you want us to say, and we'll say it for you in the next episode. Fresh new content coming after the break. Peace. Hey, Two Texas Teas audience, the Sip Senate. We have another very special guest with us today, all the way from Maryland. His name is Noc Beteck. He is an independent hip hop artist, but also someone who is a member of the Boys and Girls Club, director of the Boys and Girls Club in Maryland, Salisbury, Maryland, I believe. And he is originally from Cameroon. So today we're going to have a conversation about music in general and how the youth, maybe the music that they listen to right now might not be the best, but there are alternatives and there are things we can do. Use music to kind of tell a better story and to help our youth out. But also, Aneka, or I can call you, but thank you for being here today. And tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
You know, as you said, I'm a club manager for the Boys and Girls Club and an independent music artist, but I'm also a single father, and somebody who's just constantly learning life every single day and just learning to appreciate all I got and everything that's coming to me. So I'm just, I like to think of myself as a very peaceful person, very chill type of person. That's just who I am.
And then as far as your inspiration for hip hop, like why decide to become an artist, and what were your inspirations?
I started music way back in high school, and the thing about that was, like, for me, I wanted to be a musician, but based on like the perception of what people saw me as, and, analyzing those perceptions, I felt that I needed to go into being like an athlete. So many people knew me for being an athlete because I played, football in high school. So, but music had always been my inspiration, something that I wanted to do. And my biggest inspiration when it comes to music, you're not gonna believe this, but like it's Phil Collins. Like, Phil Collins is the first person that Phil Collins is the first person that I can remember as a child listening to all the way to throughout my life till now. Of course I've had other, influences like Jadakiss and Dipset and even Linkin Park and NSYNC and a whole bunch of other types of artists and musicians. But, and deep within me, I've always had like a resonation with Phil Collins, only for the simple fact that, a lot of stuff that he taught in his music are real life aspects, which is something that I do with my music as a hip hop artist.
So you mentioned, I guess, kind of going into your music. So what type of music do you make? And then if somebody is interested in listening, like, where can they kind of find your music?
So I make hip hop rap music, but with a blend of like pop in it as well. And you can find my music on all streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Deezer, wherever you listen to music streaming. You're gonna find me on there. Just search Noc Beteck. That's NOC space BETECK.
So one of the things that I guess kind of doing a little bit of research, you say that your music is the voice for the voiceless. And I know when we did kind of
Yes.
the preliminary like intro call, one of the things that you said had inspired you, or some of the things that you wanted to get through as far as message wise, was the fact that you listen, you take a step back and you listen to the music of today, and a lot of it you said is not really producing really positive, I guess, themes in culture and black
Yeah.
culture and in youth culture in general. And you thought
Right.
perhaps like you, maybe other independent indie artists could also do something about it. Like maybe the music that you produce slowly but surely can be something that like changes people's perceptives of like what we promote. Because right now you said it's a lot of, I guess, themes that you don't think the youth probably should be listening to at the moment, but in your own words.
Yes. Yes. So, and what's crazy, like, I'll tell you this story. Just like a few weeks ago. So I work at the Boys and Girls Club, and usually when I get off, I take some of the kids home in our van. I drop them off, the kids that stay around the club. So on this particular day while I was taking the kids home, one boy, was getting on a girl because of how she acts. And he pretty much
Mm-hmm.
called her like, a hoe or whatever. And so I had to break it down to her, why he saw her that way, and I used examples of, the type of music that they listen to, the Sexy Red, the Cardi B, even though these are great artists, but the type of substance that they're getting from this artist, these young girls listening to that and thinking that they need to be that in society. So I had to break it down to her like, hey, you might be thinking this is you, but it's not really you. How you're carrying yourself, to other people, it comes off as you being promiscuous at a very young age. So, and that's just one of the things, like, for me with my music, I just try to get everybody, including the youth, to just self-reflect on themselves and really think about, how they feel, how they're acting, how, society view them, how they view themselves in society. So my music is just, it's just for everybody. You know what I mean? So with what
Mm-hmm.
the message I'm trying to send through my music is, reflect on your life, reflect on yourself, and, find your purpose, find your position in society, in life, and find the reason why you're here, because we're all here for a reason.
But one of your breakout singles is "No Other Champion." I was wondering if you could tell us like what is that song about, and then how would you like explain the vibe of that song?
So No Other Champion is a song that really defines who I am as a person. It talks about, my shortcomings, a lot of the mistakes that I've made, a lot of the regrets I have, things about me that, you would view as a flaw. But even with my flaws, I still try to perfect myself. So No Other Champion is really a song that lets people know that no matter what you have been through in life, you're still, quote unquote, the champion of your life story, because no one truly knows your life better than you. And all the, mistakes that you've made, and all the challenges and adversity you face, you're still here for a reason. So that makes you a champion to continue going on day by day, living your life, no matter what you're into. So it's just a reminder to myself and to others who are listening to the song that no matter what you face in life, you're an overcomer, and that makes you a champion. So you're, I mean, you're the champion of your own life constantly.
Definitely. So if I go and I guess kind of add to the audience, so you're from Cameroon and you moved to the United States at 8 years old, and I'm assuming with that experience, like there's some challenges and things that you've had to overcome in your life. And then for the audience, those who do not know, my mom is from Nigeria, So I hear from her
Amazing.
kind of like how it was. She came here as a freshman college student, and she has had to go through a number of trials and tribulations just to kind of fit into the United States. But what are some of the experiences? I guess I mean, even though 8 years old is pretty early enough for you to be like, well, I see a little bit of things that are different, but at the same time, young enough to the point where probably by the time you were 17, you're like, oh, I'm from Maryland, like it is what it is. But what are some
Yeah.
of the experiences that you got or you remember from your family? Some things you might have
So
overcome.
I'll say, I guess just being not only just being a black kid, but being a black kid from Africa, and that was something that
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of, depression and sadness about, because while I'm in school, I'm getting teased by other kids who, I mean, look just like me. And I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't understand why that was. Why are you guys, I mean, for no reason at all, teasing me, making fun of me. And even though I try to hide it, it really hurt me a lot. And through that hurt, it put me like in a state of silence. It really didn't give me a voice. And from that moment on, I started thinking and feeling like what I thought and what I felt didn't matter to other people. So it traumatically affected me even all the way now as an adult, where I'm starting to get more used to expressing myself more and being more vocal and just letting people know what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and just, let myself know and everybody else know that, I matter as well. I respect your thoughts, I respect your feelings, but I need to have that same respect for my thoughts and feelings as well. So just being teased was one of the biggest aspects that affected me, that I had to face, as a kid that just transitioned from Cameroon to the United States.
Do you ever? When's the last time you've been back to Cameroon? And do people, is family, friends, extended friends in Cameroon know about your music? Do they kind of give you critiques, or they're like, oh, we're really big fans? Like, how's it? How are they feeling about the career?
I'll say it's more so like they know, but they're more so like
Mm-hmm.
just waiting until I hit like a certain level, you know what I mean, so they can start bragging, you know what I mean. But that's
Yeah,
again, that's just you know what I mean, that's just people in general. They don't believe
that's just
they don't
people.
believe
Yeah.
in you until, yeah, you don't believe in you until you actually hit the success, on your road to where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. People are just like, okay, yeah, and then when you hit it, what I mean, then that's when everybody, wants to come back and want to congratulate you and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. So that's where I'm at. But I don't, and I mean, for me, I don't have no issue with that. I'm not bitter about it. I understand it. So it's like, the right ones on this journey will support me when they see the purpose and the vision of what I'm trying to do with my music.
Now, and it's kind of parallel, I guess, kind of segueing off of that a little bit. I guess in reflection, it's the same thing with the podcast. Like you start a podcast and you're growing it, and you let your friends and your family know,
Yes.
but then everybody is not going to be like, oh, okay, let's jump on board to be 100% about what's going on. A
Right.
lot of people are more so like, I see you, but I'm gonna just wait and see. And I don't know
Yeah.
what you want
We
from me
just
as far
wait.
as support, but yeah, I don't hold it against them. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really, I guess, a different type of mindset when you see someone, one of your friends, that's actually trying to accomplish something and you jump on board quickly. I know that's not necessarily like a very common thing. Most people are just kind of like, let me take a step back and wait and see. But I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is, like you mentioned. As far as your like pursuit, as far as like music, you also are a director at the Boys and Girls Club, and I guess you've said online that you perform for the Boys and Girls Club. So a lot of artists will say things like, oh, I want to do things that help the community out, but you're actually doing things that help the community out. So I
Yeah.
guess, how does working for the Boys and Girls Club kind of influence your music?
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
Well, first and foremost, the Boys and Girls Club that I work at now is it's in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, and sometimes I'll take the kids, the older kids, like the teens, I'll take them out into the neighborhood, that I grew up in, and we'll do like a neighborhood cleanup. So how that affects me is just, it's just one of the reasons why I'm here. It's one of my purposes in life. And, just having that connection with those youth at the club, it gives me a sense of purpose. And so I just want to give back to them and help them, guide them down the right path, through my music as well as being a club manager. The two, come together, and it's for the benefit of the youth and people in general, just to get them, to have a different, outlook on life based on what they're being thrown at on a daily basis of how they need to think, how they need to act. With me, I'm just coming along and letting people know, like, take a step back from everything that's being thrown at you and reflect on yourself. You want to change, you want your life to be better. You want to make your environment better. If you want to change the whole world, it all starts with self. So that's just one of the biggest factors for me that I'm just trying to portray to people.
No, definitely. I guess a couple more questions for the time. So tying this all into the Central Texas, Two Texas Teas is as a Central Texas focus, but a lot of the youth, a lot of Black youth in Austin, in San Antonio, and the cities that are in between, probably definitely deal with the same things that are going on in Maryland. So as far as like an overarching attitude as far as music, and I guess to also add to this question, Austin, Texas is definitely a city where a lot of indie artists get an up and up, because it's a city that, despite the South by Southwest and the ACL and those big concerts that take place during the course of the year, there are a huge amount of people that are in the indie scene. And I was wondering, have you ever tried to come down to Austin and try to like perform? What's your thoughts on the Austin music scene?
I mean, I would definitely want to come down there because, again, the Texas is not only one of the biggest states in America, but it's also one of like the most well-known places in terms of music, and actually the way I look at it now, to me, I guess like the biggest, the most popular as far as like artists in hip hop is looking like it's coming out of Texas now, like a lot of down south artists, especially in Houston. Houston has become like a huge place for successful artists. So Texas is definitely a place that, I would love to come down and do a performance for.
Hey, if you're in the audience and you listening, you got that kind of pull, we got his contact information in the show notes. So if you want to bring down and have like an indie artist type of like concert, hey, Noc might be your guy. So I guess the last question,
hit me up, please.
Hey, the last question is, as far as like artists that are performing today, what are some people you're listening to right now?
I listen to a lot of Noc Beteck, who's a Baltimore-based rapper here in Maryland. Even though he talks a lot of like street, I guess, factors in his music, what differentiates him from a lot of other artists who are considered street artists is he has a business mentality. So he's not, so his music is not more so I'm in the streets, I'm doing, no, he tells you owns stores. He has a clothing store. Yeah, I come from the streets, but this is how I've made it out of the streets by just focusing on this, on these things that are considered legal and have me well off. And that can be the same for you as well. So YG Tech is a big influence on me. I also still listen to a lot of like the old school rappers that I grew up on: Jay-Z, Tupac, Jadakiss, Dipset. A lot of those artists that come from, like the early 2000s era, 50 Cent, those were the rappers that I grew up, listening to, and I'm still listening to today. And as far as like new artists in this generation, I listen to some Kevin Gates, some Finesse 2 Times, still listen to Phil Collins. That's really it. Cause like a bulk of like my music playlists are of those artists. Every now and then I hear something from like, one of the artists that the kids are listening to in this era. I hear a song on there, but it's not like, I'm on it and I'm listening to this person now. I might hear a song here and there. I might not listen to on Spotify and it comes across, but like as far as like what I'm listening to on a daily basis, the people who I just name or who I'm listening to.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate it. I guess we're here on time, but thank you so much, not for joining us today. If you are in the audience, you're listening, please visit his sites, visit his social media, check his music out. As he mentioned, his music is everywhere you listen to music. And if you want to listen to an artist who's trying to speak some positivity into the community, definitely Noc is your guy. But any last words for us?
Yeah, I just want to say, the reason why I'm making music, it's not for the money, it's not for the fame, but it's for the impact. I feel as though like if I'm able to impact somebody in a positive way, to me, that's way bigger than the money, is way bigger than fame. I'm not a clout chaser or none of that. Like there's a lot of things that I'm doing with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club that I can put out and try to make myself famous or whatever, but I don't do it at all, because I'm not someone who's chasing after fame. For me, I'm going after impacting people in a positive way, because, I've realized that that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I was created, to be here on this planet.
Appreciate it. Well, Thank you all for joining us on another episode of the Two Texas Tees podcast. Again, check out Noc and his music, the links below, and we will see you all next time. Peace.
Thank you again.